This is lesson 7.2, Similar Polygons. Your objectives are to use proportions to identify similar polygons and to solve problems using the properties of similar polygons. Similar polygons have the same shape but not necessarily the same size. List all pairs of congruent angles and write a proportion that relates the corresponding sides for each pair of similar polygons. For the angles, pair them up the way they appear in the similarity statement. D and G are first, so angle D is congruent to angle G. E and H are second, so angle E is congruent to angle H. F and J are last, so angle F is congruent to angle J. For the sides, also, pair them up according to the way they appear in the similarity statement. Use the first two vertices, DE and GH. So DE goes over GH. We're doing the left triangle over the right triangle. And that equals the last two vertices, EF and HJ. So do EF over HJ. Again, that's set up the left triangle over the right triangle. Finally, do the first and last vertices, D and F, and G and J. So DF over GJ. Pair the angles up according to the way they appear in the similarity statement, make them congruent to each other. And pair the sides up as well, except make the sides in proportions. Make sure that the proportion is organized. We did left triangle over right triangle for each of the three pairs of sides. Determine whether each pair of figures is similar. If so, write the similarity statement and scale factor. If not, explain your reasoning. Number 3. So let's check the angle pairs first to see if they're congruent. Then we'll check the side pairs to see if they're proportional. For the angles, on the left, angle A has one arc, and that makes it congruent to angle G in the other pentagon. Continuing on, angle B has one arc, and it pairs up with angle H. Angle C has one arc, and it pairs up with angle J. If we keep going, angle D has one arc, but there aren't any more angles in the second pentagon with just one arc. So we don't have any more pairs of congruent angles. Since we have reached a stumbling block there, this is a no, because not all angle pairs are congruent. We don't need to check the side pairs because we already know that the angle pairs don't match. These are not similar. Number 4. Here we have a small triangle in a big triangle. So they overlap a little bit. We're comparing the small triangle with the big one. Check the angles first. On the small triangle, angle P has one arc, and on the big triangle, that matches angle P still, which has one arc. On the small triangle, angle Q has 3 arcs, and that matches angle S, which has 3 arcs. In the small triangle, we have angle R with 2 arcs, which matches angle T in the big triangle, and it has 2 arcs. So the angle pairs all match up. Now let's check that the sides are proportional. Now I know the 11 and 22 side lengths, but I don't know the others. However, I do see where the segment parts are marked congruent. I can give them variables. On the left, segment PQ could be X and segment QS could be X. Those are both the same, which would make the whole side 2X. So really I'm comparing X on the small triangle with 2X on the big triangle. On the right, the double hash mark there would be Y, and RT would be Y. that whole side would be 2y. So I'm comparing y on the small triangle with 2y on the big triangle. Let's see if they match up. X on the small triangle matches 2x on the big triangle. Y on the small triangle matches 2y on the big triangle. And 11 on the small triangle matches 22 on the big triangle. If these all reduce to the same thing, then the sides are proportional. X over 2x is 1/2. Y over 2y is 1/2. And 11 over 22 is 1/2. So the sides are proportional. The angle pairs are all congruent and the side pairs are all proportional. So these triangles are similar. So let's make the similarity statement. For the small triangle, triangle PRQ, that's similar to the big triangle, and make sure you match up the vertices. P on the small triangle matches P on the big triangle. R on the small triangle matches T on the big triangle. Q on the small triangle matches S on the big triangle. Now for the scale factor, this is simply the fraction that all of the sides reduce to, and that fraction is 1/2. So make sure that all the angle pairs are congruent, make sure that all the side pairs are proportional, and if they are, then the polygons are similar. The scale factor is simply the fraction that the side pairs reduce to. You can use scale factors and proportions to find missing side lengths in similar polygons. Each pair of polygons is similar. Find the value of x. Number 1, here we have two similar triangles and we have side lengths. We need to make sure we match up the side lengths and get the corresponding pairs. On the left, the side length x is between the angle not marked and the angle with 2 arcs on it. That pairs up with 9. 9 is between the angle not marked and the one with 2 arcs. We also have on the right triangle a side of length 12, which is between the 1 arc and not marked. That pairs up with 8. That's between the 1 arc and not marked. The remaining side, 10, with a side without a value, we won't use those. Now make your proportion. If we go left over right, we'll say x over 9, and that equals left over right again, 8 over 12. Now solve the proportion. Cross multiply. X times 12 is 12x equals 9 times 8, which is 72. Solve for x and divide by 12. X is 6. Organizing is key though. Match up each pair of sides based on the angles that are marked congruent. Organize your proportion. We did left over right equals left over right, and then cross multiply and solve. Number 2. These quadrilaterals are similar. Let's pair up the matching sides. The side of 10 is between 1 arc and 4 arcs. That matches the side 5, which is between 1 arc and 4 arcs. The side 4.5 is between 1 arc and 2 arcs. That matches x between 1 arc and 2 arcs. The remaining sides we don't need to worry about because we already have enough to make a proportion. So we can say 10 over 5, which is left over right, and that equals 4.5 over x, which is also left over right. Cross multiply and solve. 10 times x is 10x. 5 times 4.5 is 22.5. Divide both sides by 10, and x is 2.25. match up the side pairs, organize your proportion. We did left over right equals left over right. Cross multiply and solve.